I had one of the realest conversations that I have ever had with anyone, with a self aware narcissist in the coffee shop the other day. This man looked me dead in my eyes and he said, I got 3 women in Atlanta. They all know I lie. They all know I cheat. They all know I am not the one, and they still say. And I've been doing this for 5 years. That was just the beginning. The way the conversation started was interesting, and I know this was God because I was simply having a conversation with someone else about boundaries and relationships, and this man was sitting right next to me and apparently ear hustling and found this conversation to be so interesting that he asked if he could chime in. So I was like, sure. Now, at first, I thought this conversation was going to be quick. I thought he was just going to chime in, say a couple of things, keep it moving. But what I didn't know was that he was actually going to confess some things. Now, once he started talking, I realized I'm not talking to a broken man. I am staring into the mind of a narcissist who knows exactly what he's doing. And honestly, I'm still a little like taken aback by this because I was just so intrigued with how honest he was. He was like brutally honest, like scary honest, which I actually love that, right? Like I commend him for that. But what he gave me wasn't just information, it was actually the blueprint. He told me what he does, how he does it, and why he keeps doing it. And so I just want to share this information with you so that you don't get caught up in this. Yeah, he basically gave me to play, and yeah, this is what he said. So this dude has 3 different women here in Atlanta. They all live in different parts of the city. They've all moved from different states for him to Atlanta. And yeah, he just bounces around in a circle, right? He'll spend time with one, then he'll go to the next, and then he'll go to the next, like clockwork. So I was like, wow, do they know each other? And he was like, no. And I'm like, well, how do you keep your composure? Like, how do you keep this going for 5 years? And he was like, well, they've caught me in like little lies, right? But I know how to calm things down. I know how to make them feel like a priority. Whenever they catch me up in some stupid stuff, I buy them a gift, or I, take them out, or I do certain things to just keep them kind of on the hook. He's like, I can sense when they're pulling away from me. So I know exactly what to do to keep them there. Sorry, y'all. I had to go run and get my charger real quick because my phone's dying. But y'all about to get this word today. So this dude is like, yes, like they've seen the lies, they've seen the red flags, but here's what they all have in common. None of them know how to shut the door. None of them know how to shut that door. He was telling me, they leave the sliding glass door open just enough for him to keep his foot stuck in, right? So he always has a way in. He always knows how to stay in, and that's how he's been in their lives for 5 years, because none of them know how to set boundaries, basically. See, all 3 of these women are so caught up with this man's presence, right? The consistency of his presence. But they're so caught up with it that they're willing to tolerate the inconsistency of his character. He's a liar. They know it. He knows it, right? But they still want him around. But God gave me so much revelation from this story because consistency and lies can coexist. And we need to be mindful of that. So what exactly does this look like in real life? Because it's easy to say that lies and consistency coexist, but if we're not careful, we can actually miss it if we're not really sure of what this looks like. So I want to give you 3 real life scenarios. So the first guy is the good morning text guy. This is the guy that texts you every morning without fail. He don't never miss a beat. He checks in with you all day. He don't never forget your birthday. But this brother is living a double life, right? He is consistent with you, but baby, you are not the only one. He sends those messages like clockwork, but this relationship is not sacred. Those good morning texts are scheduled. And just because somebody shows up every single day does not mean they have integrity. And then we got the secretive provider. Now, this is the guy who pays all the bills. He's always there for the kids. He prays over the dinner, right? But he's hiding secret conversations. He's hiding that second phone. He's dipping out late at night. And you keep staying because he's consistent in what he gives, but he's not consistent with who he is. See, provision does not always mean purity. Just because somebody is doing things for you does not mean that their heart is pure towards you. Judas traveled with Jesus. He ate with Jesus. He handled the money, but his heart was not right. He was consistent, but he wasn't pure at all. And this shows us that provision and proximity are not proof of covenant. They can actually be camouflage for betrayal. And finally, we have the future faker. This is the guy that talks about you two constantly. He talks about the future you're going to have. He talks about the kids you're going to have. He talks about the jobs you're going to have, the house he's going to buy, the business he wants to build, right? The empire. This brother got your imagination running wild. But every time you try to move forward, he stalls. But then he'll bring up the future when he senses that you're about to walk away. See, you know it's future faking when it feels like everything's about to happen, but then don't nothing happen. See, y'all, this is why discernment is key because, see, the enemy sends these narcissists into our lives, right? And it causes a spiritual delay. It causes us to really be delayed of the promises that God has on our life. And when this happens, we need to be aware of it because spiritual delay often comes in relational disguise. And if we're not careful, we'll be sitting here future faking with just random dudes or random women, depending on whoever's watching this. And so, yeah, as I'm sitting across from this guy at the coffee shop, as he's being as transparent as possible, as he's being super honest with me and just giving me the play, I wasn't really shocked, honestly. I was more so like, I felt like it was confirmation of what I've already known. But if I would say I felt any type of emotion, I felt grieved because this conversation wasn't just about him. It was a mirror of what so many of us are ignoring in our own lives. And we stay in these relationships where the lies are so loud, but the consistency keeps us quiet. So don't let emotional history or empty promises keep you from the promises of God over your life, right? There are so many dudes out here like the guy in the coffee shop. And this conversation that I had with him was not just a conversation. This was a wake-up call, y'all. This was a wake-up call for me, and I am praying that this was a wake-up call for you. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.